Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 child prodigies to make you feel lazy. It's important to feel proud of yourself. It's also important not to compare yourself negatively to others. It's not you versus the world, it's you versus you. But sometimes others can act as an inspiration. If you can look at others' accomplishments without jealousy but as motivation, then they can indeed be helpful. And we really hope you keep that in mind while we list off these kids who've accomplished more than most adults. Number 10. Shane Thomas. Music is full of impressive child prodigies. Mozart, Beethoven, Michael Jackson, Justin Bieber. Go ahead and get mad at that last one, but those are the names we're sticking with. But let's add another less well-known name to that list, and that name would be Shane Thomas. Shane is an Irish kid who's really good at classical music. He started playing piano at the age of 7, and according to his dad, he could play almost instantly by ear. Now, whether that part is true or not, he is clearly very talented. You can check out some of his music on his website. He released an album with a major music publisher as a teenager, and at age 15 he also composed a symphony for the BBC in only 3 weeks. His dad claims that he can write songs while playing computer games, and that many of his compositions come to him in dreams. What he's doing for the BBC's Music Day is right up there with the capability that Mozart demonstrated as a child prodigy. Okay, well, we're not sure about that, but it is very impressive what he's accomplished at such a young age. Good job, Shane, but try not to let your dad convince you you're some sort of god or something. Number 9. Brighton Zeuner. How old were you when you first won a medal in the X Games? Most skaters are probably in their 20s or late teens. Some of you watching this, you probably don't even have any X Game medals, you slackers. This makes what this teen recently accomplished even more impressive. Brighton is a 13-year-old skater from California. She competed in an X Games starting event just 12 hours after she turned 13, and she won the gold medal, becoming the youngest gold medalist ever. Just make sure you check out how radical she is in the video that we're showing here. Number 8. Anthony Russo. Plenty of people tell themselves that they're going to run a 5K or a 10K, or whatever, eventually, but they never seem to get around to it. If you're one of those people, well, prepare to feel really, really lazy. Anthony Russo is one of those people who told themselves they were going to run a half marathon. The difference between him and most people is that he actually did it. Oh, and he did it when he was 5 years old. And not only did he do it, but he also did it pretty quickly, becoming the youngest person in the US to complete a half marathon in under 2.5 hours. According to his parents, he doesn't see running as work. Apparently, he sees it as fun. He really enjoys running amounts that would have the average adult wheezing like a motion-sick General Grievous. And before the half marathon, he was happily training like a madman, running up to 40 miles per week. When he was asked by a newspaper about it, he replied, "It's a cool thing to do." Most of us would not be interested in running with him, but we admit that it is kind of cool. Number 7. Carissa Yip. Chess is a game usually dominated by men in their 30s, but 12-year-old Carissa Yip of Massachusetts can beat most of them. Carissa started playing chess being taught by her father at the age of 6, and she's been breaking records since she began playing competitively. She's the youngest person to ever reach the national master rank, which she achieved at the age of 11. 2 years earlier, she was the youngest person to ever reach the title of expert. And right before her 11th birthday, she became the youngest female player to ever beat a Grandmaster. Among girls under 14, she's already ranked number 1 in the US and number 6 in the world. She also won the North American Under 20 Girls Championship last year. She's apparently so good she doesn't need to look at the board. She showed an interviewer how she could play with her back to the board, keeping track in her head and telling her dad where to move the pieces. Number 6. Jamie Edwards. Jamie Edwards is a normal teenage boy who happens to dabble in nuclear fission. He calls himself an amateur nuclear scientist. At the age of 13, he broke a record, becoming the youngest fusioner in history. But what exactly does that mean? It means he got the materials and did the necessary science in order to carry out atomic fusion. How do you even have the resources to do that? Well, he showed his school a presentation explaining why he should be allowed to build a nuclear fusion reactor, and they gave him $3,350. Number 5. Duo. How old do you think the youngest pilot in the world is? Maybe you're thinking somewhere in his teens, maybe 14, alright, well maybe 13, somewhere around there. And even if you did guess as young as 13, well, you would be wrong. Duo, a nickname, was the world's youngest pilot at the age of 5. He successfully piloted a plane around 1,000 feet above Beijing, becoming the youngest ever solo pilot. He's also done a few other notable things, mostly as a result of his father, Eagle Dad as he likes to be called, meticulously planning his daily activities. We do admit though that Eagle Dad's activities do sound a lot more fun than those usually imposed by tiger mums. Duo was also the world's youngest sailor and was planning to bike through the Tibetan Plateau. And apparently he's also the youngest person to start an investment company. These accomplishments come at a price though, as Duo wakes up at 6:30 a.m., a time usually reserved for birds and old men who still read newspapers. But his dad says that he does it because Chinese parents spoil their child too much. His dad might be seen as going too far, but his motivations seem to be mostly good, and he's also not totally strict. As Duo says, "On Sunday I can even watch movies." Number 4. Farhad Nouri. If you were a 10-year-old Afghan boy living in a migrant camp in Serbia, what do you think you'd spend your time doing? If you said you'd get really good at drawing and painting and acquire the nickname Little Picasso, you may in fact be Farhad Nouri. Farhad learned some basic art from his father beginning at the age of 6, but he has recently been learning more by watching YouTube videos. He says he does plan to draw a portrait of Picasso, and he's already drawn Angela Merkel, Salvador Dali, and Angelina Jolie. He says that art has helped him to deal with being stuck in a refugee camp. Not surprisingly, he hopes to be a painter when he grows up and wants to live in Switzerland or the United States. He hasn't won any awards or anything, but there probably aren't that many to be had for a 10-year-old in Serbia. His work is quite impressive, especially considering his circumstances. Good job, Farhad. Number 3. Lots of golfers. Golf is a game for retired people, right? Well, that's the stereotype. It's a game that can be played at an older age. It usually takes money to play, something old people typically have, and if you play around, you'll probably see some grandparents out there. But there are exceptions, of course. Everyone's heard of Tiger Woods, who at the age of 2 went on the Mike Douglas show, then at the age of 8 was invited on Good Morning America to show off his skills, and he later became the youngest ever Masters champion at the age of 21, a time when many of us were focusing on how much beer we could chug. And maybe you've also heard of Michelle Y, who started playing at the age of 4 and joined the LPGA when she was only 12. She later became the youngest USGA champion in an adult event. She turned professional shortly before her 16th birthday. She later attended Stanford, but was not allowed on the golf team as she was already a pro. We could go on about successful young golfers all day, but honestly there's not enough room in this video, and we should move on. Number 2. Tyler Armstrong. So, what did Tyler do? Did he run a 4-minute mile? Is he a professional hockey player? Nope, he's got no time for any of those things because he's busy spending his time climbing up mountains. He started out back when he was 7 when he decided he wanted to climb 14,500 feet up Mount Whitney, the tallest mountain in the US outside of Alaska. He climbed it in one day and was the youngest person to do so. The year after that, he became the second youngest human to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and then at 9 years old he became the youngest ever to climb 22,841 feet up Mount Aconcagua in Argentina, the tallest mountain both in the Western and Southern Hemisphere. And today you might be wondering, do they just let anyone climb up mountains? Aren't there kind of rules about this and how old you have to be? Well, actually there are, but Tyler just doesn't care. Mount Kilimanjaro's normal age limit is 10, but he applied for a special permit to head up a year early, and they said yes. So we guess the lesson here is that if you don't like a rule, just ask and they'll probably let you break it. He did the same thing with Aconcagua. The limit there is 14, but he asked for permission, so they let him climb it 5 years early, which makes me think maybe I should have applied for a drinking permit at 15. So now you might be wondering, well, why is he doing it? Is it just for fun? Well, actually, no. He's raising money for muscular dystrophy. To describe why he's doing it, Tyler said, "They can't walk, and that's like the opposite of me. I want them to climb with me when we find a cure." Number 1. Kim Jong-un. Yes, that is right. Kim Jong-un was a multi-talented child prodigy with near magical levels of ability. At least that's what students in North Korea are learning. In 2015, teachers were issued manuals that list many of Kim's great accomplishments. We'll let you decide whether this manual should be trusted or not, but if so, Kim was one truly amazing kid. According to the books, Kim learned to drive at the age of 3 and was winning yacht races by the time he was 9. Apparently, he even won a race against a foreign yacht company CEO. He's also supposedly a great artist and musical composer. Now, these claims, they are somewhat hard to believe, but they're nothing compared to the claims about his father, Kim Jong-il. According to North Korean doctrine, he wrote 1,500 books during his time in college and also penned 6 operas, all of which are better than any in the history of music. He also once golfed a 38 under par, making 11 holes in one, and here's the catch, he'd never golfed before that, and he never golfed after. That's right, that was the one and only time he picked up a golf club. Truly incredible and inspiring, and well, what a family. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also over there on the right, a couple of other videos that you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.